Hello, my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to my latest movie review, where today I review Matilda the Musical. The movie, not the stage show. So, Matilda the Musical. This film is based on the stage show version of Matilda. The book was written by Roald Dahl. There was another version of Matilda, directed by Danny DeVito, that was made in the 90s. Now, I would love to review that at some point, but just for today, we will focus on this version. The film is directed by Matthew Warchus, and essentially the synopsis is as follows. An adaptation of the Tony and Olivier Award-winning musical, Matilda tells the story of an extraordinary girl named Matilda, who, armed with a sharp mind and a vivid imagination, dares to take a stand to change her story with miraculous results. So, Matilda. Now, I haven't actually seen the stage production of this. I've heard some of the music in the past, but I would have loved to have seen the show on stage, and I will try to catch it as best I can, as I am English, so I should be able to get to London pretty easily. As for the movie itself, considering that I went in essentially a bit blind, I mean, I have seen the other version of the film, and I've read the book when I was very young, I really enjoyed this film. Yeah, I thought it was very well made. I'm not going to say it's perfect, I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece, but I thought it was incredibly well produced and incredibly well put together. It's very clear to see that this director definitely has a background in musical theatre and stage, because so much of this film feels like it belongs on a stage, and like it's like somebody literally went in with a camera and filmed them on a stage. It really is impressive how slick the choreography is, how amazing the singing is, and the emotion that you feel from those sequences. You know, it's very theatrical and it's very razzle-dazzle, just as you would expect. And those sequences definitely offer a huge spectacle, and that's definitely the comparison that this Matilda film has over the last one. Not only because this is a musical and that one isn't, but this one definitely feels bigger scale, more spectacle. That one is a bit more intimate, more closed. It's definitely just more of a, you know, a narrative, as it were. It's just a film, you know, it's not a musical film. The cast are terrific. Alisha Weir, wow, she is absolutely phenomenal as Matilda. And I saw an interview with her, and I didn't realise I think she's Irish. I think she actually puts on an English accent for the entire film, and she is really good. I can see why they picked her, and I can absolutely feel the emotion, and I can totally invest in this character whenever I see her on screen, and her singing is also very beautiful. She's also cute as a button. She's incredibly cute, and all the kids are fantastic in this film, and they definitely bring a cute factor into it. But she is just phenomenal. I really hope that she goes far in her acting career, and I really hope she has a future acting career, should that be what she wants to do. We also have Stephen Graham, who plays her dad, Mr. Wormwood. Stephen Graham and Andrea Riseborough play her parents. They're actually in it a little bit more than Matilda's parents were in the other version of Matilda, the Danny DeVito one. And I really like the production design of this film, how their house looks completely colourful and over the top, and then she wears completely grey clothes, and it just goes to show how unlike her parents she is. Matilda and her parents do not have a great relationship, and a lot of the times when she is coming up with these stories, she's drawing elements from her own life, like the fact that her parents neglect her, and also the fact that Miss Honey had, you know, a step-aunt who was cruel. So all of these different elements from her life have been, you know, imagined for her own narratives. You know, she loves to tell stories, she loves to create the stories, and I think the way the film presents that in its production design is impressive, and also with the way that her parents are. You know, they're very exaggerated characters, they're very over the top, they have terrible personalities, whereas Matilda is as sweet as anything. But, you know, it happens like that. Sometimes not all parent and child bonds are there. Well, there isn't one here, and they are perfectly happy for her to be adopted by someone else. So, there we go. Lashana Lynch is in this film. Now, if you remember Lashana Lynch from No Time to Die, she was Nomi, the female 007 who replaced James Bond when he was retired. Lashana Lynch was also in The Woman King, which came out earlier this year. So she's played a couple of different roles, but this is a really different role for Lashana Lynch. I must admit, I was quite surprised to see her cast as Miss Honey, but actually she's really good. You know, she fits it quite well. Sometimes I feel like her smile feels a little bit, a little bit too over the top, a little bit fake, but that's only a nitpick, really, because she gets the personality across really well, and you really feel like Miss Honey truly finds her courage in this one. I really felt Miss Honey's character really stand up for herself in the end, and I thought her character had a nice payoff, very much similar to the Danny DeVito version, where Miss Honey in that film stood up to Miss Trunchbull. And actually, this is the first time I've heard Lashana Lynch sing, and you know, she's got a nice voice. She's not the strongest singer in the cast, but I think she is pretty good, and then, you know, she has a nice sweetness to her voice, and I think that definitely works. Emma Thompson, who plays Trunchbull, well, I must admit, I wasn't entirely wowed by her performance. I thought she was fine, you know, she was decent. There were times when Trunchbull, you know, she was playing it very sinisterly, which works, of course, that's how you should do it. But there were other times when it felt either underplayed or overplayed. There was never a middle ground with her performance. It felt like it was a bit all over the place at times. And one minute she was being over the top and hammy, and you just feel like, oh, okay, this has become a bit of a cartoon character. But then there were times when it was really good, and you felt the sinister, you know, vibes, and you felt the sort of real cruel threat from her. You know, I just feel like they could have found a slightly better balance. But that being said, Emma Thompson is good, and she does sing very well. She's a very solid singer, and the special effects prosthetic makeup is impressive. And I do like her introduction where Lashana Lynch as Miss Honey, or Jenny as they call her. She enters the office, and Trunchbull has just got this screen, this monitors of all these children, and she's looking there like it's almost like a James Bond villain, you know. She's kind of sat in her evil lair, looking at the screens of watching everybody. The way she speaks to everybody is completely awful and very cruel. I imagine for younger viewers, they may get slightly creeped out by some of the visuals in this film and some of the ways in which Trunchbull comes across. Because she is scary. There's no question about that. She's pretty damn scary. But nevertheless, like I said, Emma Thompson does a decent job, but I just felt they could have ironed out the performance just a little bit. Just the finishing touches, that's all I'm saying. But like I said, the music, the choreography, incredibly slick, incredibly fast-paced. The pace is great. It moves at a really brisk pace. And I also liked the fantasy sequences in which Matilda was telling her story to the fortune teller woman, Mrs. Phoebus or something. I can't actually remember her name, I apologize. Those scenes were really interesting, and how they were paralleling her life, or elements of her life, I should say. And I really like this movie's commentary on the fact that we should nurture children. The fact that, you know, the mind of a child is something pretty powerful, and it shouldn't be crushed. It should be nurtured. And I think that's the heart of Matilda. That's what Roald Dahl is trying to say with this story. Well, that's how I perceive it anyway. Because Matilda obviously develops these telekinetic powers, which in the real world obviously is completely stupid. But, you know, when she's able to move things with her mind, you get the sense that the film is saying, well, children should be in control of their own minds. You know, the Trunchbull is just trying to work them down and beat them till they're brawn. And, you know, there's this awful scene where she makes one of the children, Bruce Bogtrotter, eat a cake, an entire massive chocolate cake. You know, it's in the other version as well, and it's in the book, and it's just, you just think, my goodness me, what an awful woman. You know, she's just one of the most despicable characters ever. But also, this film has heart. It really has an emotional punch, and, you know, especially when Alisha Weir as Matilda is singing, when the scenes when she's in her house alone, those are where you definitely sympathize with her the most. And all the music is fantastic, and it definitely encourages me to want to go and see the show. I did really want to see the show, but of course lockdown happened, so I had to wait until the right time. But my only major criticism would have to be the third act. I did feel some of the storytelling elements were kind of pushed to the back because the film was doing so well at entertaining you with all of the razzle-dazzle music numbers and dance sequences, that the story, in a way, had to play catch-up. And I feel that the third act, the resolution of the story, was far too brisk. They definitely rushed the ending. I mean, it made sense, don't get me wrong. It wasn't incoherent. It was perfectly coherent. But the point being that the film needed to take its time in order for the emotional payoff to work. And I don't think the emotional payoff quite landed, because I don't feel the Trunchbull gets enough comeuppance in this film. In the Danny DeVito version, she gets plenty of comeuppance. This definitely needed a lot more. I just think in the final climax, there should have been more for the Trunchbull's downfall. I don't think her downfall was enough, personally. And also certainly delving into Miss Honey's character, I feel like that happened quite late in the day, when Miss Honey and Matilda started to form their bond when they got closer, and she invites her into her house and she tells her about her past. That sort of stuff came very late in the day, and I don't think they spent enough time on that. Whereas in the previous version, they had a bit longer to kind of iron that out. So at times the film probably is a little bit repetitive in terms of the storytelling, the way it's just basically relying on its musical numbers and its dance sequences to tell the story. The actual script is decent, it's solid, but it just needed to be ironed out a bit more. I feel like maybe almost a re-edit of the film probably would have worked. Perhaps maybe one final edit to just kind of smooth out the pace. But this is just my own personal opinion. If you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine, as long as we keep polite about it. To give the movie a final rating, I am going to give Matilda the Musical a 9 out of 10. It's a great movie. It really is. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. The trailers weren't grabbing me, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. The green screen CGI, really lackluster. Unfortunately, it's very obvious. Some of the CG effects are quite bad, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't want to come down too hard on this movie, but the fact that it's come out a few weeks before Avatar: The Way of Water, and we all know how that movie looks. So when we live in a world where you're up against that, you have to really sort of try and do a bit better with the CGI. But it's mainly in some of the exterior shots. You just notice it, and it's a bit like, oh, okay, I can see that. But anyway, that's my review of Matilda the Musical. What do you think? If you agree, do you disagree, please comment down below, let me know. I apologize for the lack of content recently. I have been very busy with uni work. I'm coming to the end of term now, so over the Christmas break, I will try to review a Christmas film if I can. And of course, my review of Avatar: The Way of Water is going to be coming in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much all for watching this review. Please click the like and subscribe buttons for more content, and stay tuned for more reviews in the future. And I may review the other version of Matilda at some point. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'm Pajak's Perspective. See ya. Bye for now.